Now, with the adventures of Buckaroo Banzai across the eighth dimension, set design is extraordinary. I do rarely see films of as much attention to detail in its art direction and what unusual diversity of locations and subjects as well. Peter Weller, one of the great unsung leading men of the medium. John Lithgow, a tremendous thespian, one of his outstanding villainous turns. Among the most inspired and audacious films to ever come through, and with the original screenwriter and intended director intact, of a Hollywood boardroom meeting. I'm really pleasantly surprised, stunned, that this film was made and released. I'm going to be reading out aloud now the extensively detailed, in my opinion, well, very well detailed, article on Wikipedia about this film. Lots of great information here. In 1974, W.D. Richter's wife read a review of Dirty Pictures from the Prom, the debut novel from Dartmouth College graduate and writer Earl Mac Roach, and recommended it to her husband. Richter, also an alumnus from the college, read the book, loved it, and wrote Mac Roach a letter. The two men began corresponding. When the writer told him about his interest in becoming a screenwriter, Richter offered him an open-ended invitation to visit him in Los Angeles, where he was attending the University of Southern California and working as a script analyst for Warner Brothers. Years passed and Richter became a successful screenwriter. Mac Roach took Richter up on his offer and arrived in LA. Richter proceeded to introduce the writer to producer/director Irwin Winkler, who gave Mac Roach rent money for the next 6 months. Over several dinners, Mac Roach told Richter and his wife of a character named Buckaroo Bandy, about whom he was thinking of writing a screenplay. Richter and his wife liked the idea and paid Mac Roach $1,500 to develop and write it. According to Mac Roach, his script is inspired by all those out-and-out press the accelerator to the floor, non-stop kung fu movies of the early 70s. Richter remembers that Mac Roach wrote several stories about this character, then he would get 30 or 40 pages into a script, abandon its storyline, and write a new one. Mac Roach recalled, "It's so easy to start something and then, since you're really not as serious about it as you should be, end up writing half of it. You shove the 100 pages in a drawer and try to forget about it. Over the years, I started a dozen Buckaroo scripts that ended that way." Mac Roach's original 30-page treatment was titled "Find the Jet Car, Set the President, a Buckaroo Banzai thriller." Early on, one of the revisions Mac Roach made was changing Buckaroo's surname from Bandy to Banzai. Mac Roach was not happy with the name change, but Richter convinced him to keep the new name. The Hong Kong Cavaliers also appeared in these early drafts, but according to Richter, it never really went to a completed script. Mac wrote but never wrote the end. Another early draft was titled "The Strange Case of Mrs. Cigars," about a huge robot in a box of Adolf Hitler's cigars. Mac Roach shelved his work for a few years while he wrote New York, New York for Martin Scorsese and other unproduced screenplays. In 1980, Richter talked with producers Frank Marshall and Neil Canton about filming one of his screenplays. Out of this meeting, Canton and Richter formed their own production company and decided that Buckaroo Banzai would be the first film. Under their supervision, Mac Roach wrote a 60-page treatment titled "Lepers from Saturn." They shopped Mac Roach's treatment around to production executives who were their peers, proposing that Richter direct it, but no one wanted to take on such unusual subject matter by two first-time producers and a first-time director. Canton and Richter contacted veteran producer Sidney Beckerman at MGA/UA, with whom Canton had worked before. Beckerman liked the treatment and introduced Richter and Canton to studio chief David Begelman. Within 24 hours, they had a development deal with the studio. It took Mac Roach a year and a half to write the final screenplay. During this time, the lepers from the treatment became lizards and then lectoids from Planet 10. Much of the film's detailed character histories were taken from Mac Roach's unfinished Banzai scripts. The 1981 Writers Guild of America strike forced the project to languish in development for more than a year. Begelman left MGM as several of his projects had performed poorly at the box office. This put all of his future projects, Buckaroo Banzai included, in jeopardy. Begelman formed Sherwood Productions and exercised a buyout option with MGM for the Banzai script. He took it to 20th Century Fox, who agreed to make it with a $12 million budget. Mac Roach ended up writing 3 more drafts before they had a shooting script. Production designer J. Michael Reaver had worked with Richter before and spent 2 years working on the look for Banzai. He and Richter studied many kinds of art and literature for the film's look, including medical journals, African magazines, and Russian history. The inspiration for the look of the lectoids came from Reaver sporting a lobster on his nose. He based the lectoid's alien form on Canadian-American paleontologist Dale Russell's Dinosauroid, an extrapolation of what dinosaurs might have evolved into if they had survived, but modified the concept because it would have required prosthetics that would have immobilized the actors. Their makeup consisted of 12 separate pieces of latex appliances per alien. Each actor's makeup was unique, with casts taken of their faces. For the red lectoids, Riva consulted Russian history to give them a baggy-suited Moscow bureaucrat sort of image. Their outfits were influenced by contemporary Russian lifestyles, and they went with greens, blues, and yellows because, according to Riva, they are sick and anemic. Costume designer Ag Gerard Rogers, who designed costumes for Return of the Jedi, American Graffiti, and The Conversation, met Richter while working on Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Riva noted that she fell right into step with the stuff I was designing for the sets, making the costumes match the colour of the rooms. Richter wanted the black lectroids to have a warrior-like demeanour, but in an elegant, not fierce fashion. Their costumes came from African tribal markings. For buckaroos and these cavaliers' look, Rogers gathered Gianni Versace, Perry Ellis, and Giorgio Armani sports jackets, suits, and ties. The clothing was mostly found in LA area stores. Rogers noted, "We also wanted to have something a little off so that there's a kick to everything to make it unique. Rick changed something on every outfit, and that it's an interesting style, not a cliche style. You throw stuff in there that people will recognize." Goldblum's character, Dr. Zweibel, was given a cowboy outfit to wear. According to costumer Radford Polinsky, the character thought he was dressed appropriately for an audition for a person named Buckaroo. The outfit itself was from Nudie Cohn's Rodeo Tailors. Richter and Riva did not want metal spaceships and opted for a more organic look, like a deep-sea oyster shell. Gregory Giant, Incorporated and Stetson Visual Concepts, built the spaceship models and worked off sketches by production illustrator Tom Cranham and used seashells as guides. Richter purposely wanted the film to have an unpolished look because the real world appears ramshackle, because people constantly repair whatever's around them. Buckaroo Banzai has since attracted a loyal cult following and has been popular on home video. Richter said, "It has had the most dramatic reactions of anything I've worked on. Some love it and others are willing to die for it." The director feels that the film failed commercially because the narrative was too complex. He would have liked to have had more coverage for certain scenes and felt he could have edited the film better, as there were too many master shots and two shots that left little for the editor to work with. Wired magazine in 2009 celebrated the 25th anniversary of the release of a film near and dear to many geeks who came of age in the 80s. The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai Across the Eighth Dimension was a great, adventurous, geeky movie with enough silly science fiction and great characters to fill any free lousy summer blockbusters these days, and it gave us so many great geeky lines to quote. Cosford, in his 1984 review, "I suspect that Buckaroo's odd musings, particularly the one about being there no matter where you go, are about to enter the popular argot on the scale of Where's the Beef?" His prediction has been proved right. Entertainment Weekly ranked Buckaroo Banzai at number 43 in their top 50 cult movies. The film was also ranked at number 21 on the magazine The Cult 25, the essential left field movie on the magazine's The Cult 25, the essential left field movie hit since 1983 list. The Guardian has also cited Buckaroo Banzai as one of their 1,000 films to see before you die. I think that's enough information for today. If you have not seen Buckaroo Banzai, it's worth having in your memories, in your life story. Thanks all. Have a great day, night, wherever you are. I hope everyone is absolutely well.